As the spacecraft descended through the swirling mist of Novatera, Captain James Walker's heart raced with a mix of dread and anticipation. The atmosphere crackled with electric tension, the air thick with the scent of ozone and the unspoken fears of a crew poised on the brink of history. Below them, the alien planet bloomed like a neon oasis, its crystalline cities piercing the twilight sky, casting kaleidoscopic reflections on the dark waters of the Zillion Sea. After 3,000 years, humanity was returning, not as conquerors but as prodigal sons and daughters, seeking a place in the world they once called home. Yet, the question haunted every trembling breath and stolen glance among the crew. Would they be welcomed or shunned? Captain Walker stood at the helm, his gaze locked on the vibrant landscape unfolding beneath them. The edges of his vision blurred, honing in on the pulsating lights of the city that matched the pounding in his chest. The weight of countless dreams and fears settled on his shoulders, a burden he carried with every step toward the looming confrontation. The ship's descent was smooth, but each meter closer to the ground felt like wading deeper into an ancient sea whose currents were unknown and unforgiving. The cabin was silent, save for the soft hum of the engines and the occasional crackle of static from the communications panel, a reminder of the vast, cold space they had traversed to get here. His crew's faces, illuminated by the soft glow of their instruments, were etched with the same resolve and worry that twisted in his gut. Each one of them had left something behind, a piece of their past entwined with the hope of a new beginning on Novatera. As they approached the designated landing zone, a sprawling platform aglow with azure light, the reality of their mission pressed down with unbearable weight. This was no longer a distant dream or a simulated scenario. The verdant forests with their whispering bioluminescent leaves, the towering spires emitting soft, pulsating glows, the alien sky a tapestry of swirling colors. Every surreal detail was a brushstroke in the portrait of their new reality. Captain Walker's voice finally broke the silence, steady yet imbued with the magnitude of the moment. "Prepare for landing. Check all systems and report any anomalies immediately," he commanded, his words slicing through the tension. The crew sprang into action, their trained movements swift and precise, a ballet of fingers and flashes across control panels. The ship touched down with a gentle thud, the sound resonating through the hull like the closing of a long-forgotten door. Walker's boots were the first to hit the alien soil, a soft, spongy texture that gave slightly under his weight. The air was fragrant with the scent of an unknown flora, sweet and pungent, filling his lungs with the essence of Novatera. As he stood there, the wind picked up, carrying with it the distant sounds of the Zeltran metropolis, the harmonic chimes of the city bells, the low hum of floating traffic, the subtle rustle of the sentient foliage that lined the city's organic streets. It was a symphony of the alien, both eerie and beautiful, and it underscored the monumental task ahead. They had come to mend fences, to heal old wounds with a civilization that had flourished in humanity's absence. The challenge was immense, the potential for conflict or reconciliation hanging delicately in the balance like the twin moons on the horizon. Captain James Walker, once a navigator of the stars, now stood as a harbinger of humanity's hope, his heart a cauldron of turmoil and determination. As he awaited the arrival of the Zeltran delegates, the first chapter of a new saga was about to be written, for better or worse. The alien dawn on Novatera was unlike any sunrise on Earth. The sky, a canvas of iridescent hues, transitioned slowly from a deep indigo to a vibrant pink, illuminating the land in otherworldly light. Captain James Walker stood just outside the spacecraft, his silhouette etched against the luminescent horizon, waiting as the alien delegates approached. The soft glow of Novatera's twin suns began to touch the edges of the vast cityscapes, casting long shadows and sparkling off the towering crystalline structures that dotted the landscape. The Zeltran delegation moved toward him, their forms graceful and fluid, a stark contrast to the humans' rigid military posture. They were taller than humans, their skin shimmering slightly as if dusted with tiny, reflective scales, giving them an ethereal quality. Their leader, Staler, walked at the forefront, his eyes glowing with a subtle, calm light, indicative of his high status and the bioluminescent enhancements typical of Zeltran physiology. As they neared, Walker felt the air around him thrum with a quiet intensity. The ground beneath their feet was soft, made of a sponge-like moss that seemed to absorb the sound of their approach, making the scene unnervingly silent. He cleared his throat, aware of the multitude of sensors and cameras recording this historic moment for audiences across galaxies. "Welcome to Novatera," Staler spoke first, his voice resonant and carrying an unidentifiable accent that made his simple greeting seem like a sacred chant. "We have awaited this day with a blend of anticipation and trepidation." Walker nodded, his throat tight. "Thank you for receiving us, High Guardian Staler." We come in peace, with hopes to reclaim our ancestral bonds and coexist on this beautiful world you've nurtured. The translation devices worked silently, ensuring smooth communication. The air was filled with a fragrance released by the nocturnal flowers that had begun to open around them, sending waves of sweet, heady aroma that mingled with the cool morning air. Staler gestured towards the city. Let us walk. There is much to discuss, and the path may ease our conversations. He turned, leading the way into the heart of a garden that bloomed with vivid, alien flora, their petals unfurling to the touch of the rising suns. As they walked, the city of Novatera unfolded before them. Bioluminescent plants lined the pathways, lighting their way with natural, soft light. Buildings curved and twisted into organic shapes, intertwined with the living ecosystem, showcasing the Zeltron's advanced bioengineering and architectural symbiosis. Staler began to narrate the history of Novatera since the humans had left. When your ancestors departed, this planet was a fledgling colony, barely scratching the surface of survival. We, who were once considered mere fauna, evolved, rose, and shaped this world to what you see now. A testament not to conquest, but to harmony. Walker listened, his mind racing as he absorbed the sights and the underlying message of Staler's words. Every structure, every plant seemed to be a part of a larger whole, a stark difference from the human way of conquering and reshaping nature to suit their needs. The conversation shifted to the more immediate concerns. Our people fear what your return might bring, Staler admitted, his voice low. Old legends speak of the humans' return as a time of upheaval. Walker stopped, facing Staler directly. Our histories have been rife with conflict, but they have also been about resilience and growth. We must not let fear dictate our future. We can write a new chapter, one of mutual respect and cooperation. Staler paused, surveying Walker with a penetrating gaze. Your words carry the weight of sincerity, Captain Walker. Let us then proceed cautiously, with open hearts and minds. The chapter closed as they reached the edge of the garden, overlooking a panoramic view of Novatera's capital. The city thrummed with life, a bustling metropolis that was both alien and familiar. Here, at the precipice of a new era, both leaders stood, contemplating the delicate dance of diplomacy that lay ahead, each aware of the fragile hope that bloomed like the flowers at their feet. The stakes were monumental, but so were the possibilities. As the twin suns rose higher, casting their golden light over the city, the new day seemed to hold a promise of renewal and reconciliation. In the heart of Novatera's capital, beneath the arching limbs of translucent trees, the negotiation chamber was set. A circular room with walls of living wood and floors carpeted with soft, green moss that whispered underfoot, it was designed to be a place of peace and natural beauty. The chamber's center held a large, round table, fashioned from a single, glowing crystal that illuminated the participants' faces with a gentle, azure light. Captain James Walker and High Guardian Staler, along with their respective delegations, took their seats around the table. The air was heavy with the scent of blooming yali flowers, a local plant known for its calming properties, subtly influencing the room's atmosphere to promote tranquility and open dialogue. The initial exchanges were cordial, as both sides outlined their primary concerns and hopes for these historic talks. Walker was the first to speak, his voice resonant in the quiet room. We seek to reintegrate with Novatera, not as rulers but as partners. We hope to share in the stewardship of this world, to learn from what you have accomplished, and contribute to Novatera's future. Staler responded, his tone measured and careful. Your words are well chosen, Captain. However, integration is a complex issue. Our society has thrived in the absence of humans, developing a balance with Novatera's ecosystems that we cannot risk disrupting. Your return could bring instability. The dialogue that followed was a meticulous dance of diplomacy and tact. Each delegation presented their points. Human representatives highlighted technological advancements and cultural enrichment they could offer, while the Zeltrons expressed concerns about environmental impacts and the preservation of their societal norms. As the hours passed, the negotiations delved into specific issues such as land rights, resource sharing, and technological exchange. Each topic was fraught with potential conflict, but also opportunities for unprecedented collaboration. During a particularly tense discussion about resource management, a young Zeltron delegate named Ilera voiced a pivotal concern. Our water purification technology relies on a delicate balance of bioengineered algae. Even minor disruptions could jeopardize our entire ecosystem. How do we trust that human technology will respect our balances? Walker nodded, acknowledging the validity of her fears. Trust is indeed what we are here to build, Ilera. Perhaps a joint scientific initiative could be the first step human technology alongside Zeltron ecology, monitored closely to ensure compatibility and sustainability. The suggestion led to a breakthrough, with both sides tentatively agreeing to establish a pilot project combining human and Zeltron technologies to address water purification on a small scale, with both sides observing and adjusting processes collaboratively. As the day waned, the azure light from the crystal table seemed to pulse more softly, echoing the gradual shift in the room towards cautious optimism. The discussions had revealed deep-seated fears but also a genuine desire on both sides to reach an understanding. Before the session adjourned, Staler stood, casting his gaze around the table. Today, we have taken the first steps on a path that none have trodden for millennia. Let us proceed with both the wisdom of our ancestors and the hope of our descendants in mind. The delegates filed out of the negotiation chamber, the setting sun casting long shadows through the transparent walls, painting everyone in hues of gold and amber. Outside, the city buzzed with the day's end as both humans and Zeltrons contemplated the day's discussions. Walker lingered in the chamber, looking out at the bustling streets, feeling the weight and potential of their efforts. Today, they had navigated through a minefield of diplomatic tensions, each step fraught with risk but necessary. The pilot project would be a test, a small forge in which the fires of trust could be stoked or smothered. As he exited the chamber, the cool evening air of Novatera brushed against his skin, carrying the mixed scents of alien flora. It was a reminder of the planet's complex beauty and the delicate balance they hoped to preserve and participate in. The negotiations had not solved everything, but they had started a dialogue that could lead to a future where humans and Zeltrons could coexist in peace and mutual prosperity. The rising twin suns of Novatera bathed the horizon in a brilliant cascade of red and orange hues, illuminating a scene far less serene at the northeastern border of the Zeltron metropolis. Captain James Walker and High Guardian Staler, flanked by their respective security details, stood facing each other across a newly established demarcation line, a symbolic yet potent representation of the fragile peace they had begun to forge. The day had started with a hopeful visit to the site of the proposed joint water purification project, where human technology was to be integrated with Zeltron ecological systems. However, the calm of the morning was shattered when a distress signal was received. A group of human engineers had inadvertently crossed into a restricted bioconservation area, sparking immediate alarm among Zeltron environmental guards. The area, a lush expanse of genetically preserved flora, was critical to the planet's ecological balance and was off-limits to all without special clearance. The human team, led by a young engineer named David, had misinterpreted their boundary maps, leading to the unintended violation. Upon their discovery, Zeltron guards, trained to protect their territory with lethal precision, quickly surrounded the group, their bio-enhanced weaponry charged and ready. As Walker approached the scene, his heart sank at the sight of his people, hands raised, encircled by armed Zeltron guards. The air was thick with tension, each breath heavy with the potential for conflict. Staler, equally quick to the scene, signaled his guards to hold their fire but keep their positions. "Staler, these are my engineers," Walker called out, his voice steady despite the churn of frustration and fear inside him. "They made a genuine mistake. Let us resolve this peacefully." Staler, his expression unreadable, responded, "This land is sacred to us, Walker. Your people have trespassed on ground that keeps our world alive. How can we trust you if your actions defy your words?" The standoff was a stark contrast to the diplomatic tones of the negotiation chamber. Here, in the open, with the land bearing witness, the stakes felt more immediate, more real. Walker took a slow step forward, his hands open and unthreatening. "Let me talk to them, Staler. Let me right this mistake with honor and transparency." After a tense pause, Staler nodded slightly, signaling his guards to lower their weapons but remain vigilant. Walker approached his team, his gaze meeting David's, whose confusion and fear were palpable. "David, explain what happened," Walker demanded softly. We thought we were still within the project boundary," David stammered, pointing to his digital map device. "See here, Captain, it must have been a glitch or a misreading. We meant no harm." Walker turned back to Staler, showing him the device. "A technological error, nothing more. Let this not be the spark that undoes all we strive for." Staler's gaze lingered on the device and then on his sacred land. The Zeltron guards watched, their tension a mirrored reflection of their leader's contemplation. "This land cannot suffer human error," Staler finally said, his voice low but clear across the tense divide. "But today, we will choose to believe in your honor, Walker. Remove your team immediately, and let there be no second mistake." Relief, sharp and deep, cut through the tension as Walker nodded and quickly ushered his team back across the demarcation line. The Zeltron guards, their weapons now powered down, retreated with equal measure, their eyes never leaving the humans until they were well within their own territory. As the groups withdrew, the sun's light began to soften, casting long, gentle shadows across the landscape. The incident, fraught with danger, had ended without bloodshed, but the echoes of what could have been hung heavily in the air. That evening, back in the negotiation chamber, Walker and Staler reconvened, their faces older with the day's burdens. Today was a test. Staler spoke first, his tone more weary than accusatory. One we nearly failed. Yet, we stood back from the brink, Walker added, his voice firm with newfound resolve. Let's take this as a sign. We must tread carefully, but we must also continue to tread. The chapter closed on a reflective note, with both leaders understanding the complexity of their path forward. The standoff had been a mirror, reflecting the fragile nature of peace and the perpetual need for mutual respect and understanding. As Novatera's sky turned to twilight, both sides knew the road ahead would be fraught with more tests, each demanding courage and compromise. In the aftermath of the border standoff, Novatera's capital seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The incident had passed without bloodshed, but the gravity of the situation had left its mark on both the human and Zeltron communities. It was a stark reminder of the delicate balance that needed to be maintained. Under the twin moons of Novatera, which hung low and luminous in the sky, a new initiative was launched, the Unity Gardens Project. This joint venture, proposed by Captain James Walker and endorsed by High Guardian Staler, was designed to be a living symbol of their cooperation. Situated at the very heart of the metropolis, where the city's bioluminescent glow was most vibrant, the gardens were to blend Earth flora with Zeltron botany, creating an integrated ecosystem. The project started with a ceremonial planting event, attended by members of both races. The garden, enveloped in the soft silver light of the moons, was a breathtaking sight. The earth plants, with their rich greens and floral colors, contrasted sharply against the alien foliage, which shimmered with iridescent leaves and glowing fruits. Each delegate took turns planting a species native to their world, their actions symbolic of the deeper roots they hoped to establish. Captain Walker and High Guardian Staler planted the first seedlings together, a resilient earth oak and a Zeltron silver shade tree, known for its healing properties. As they worked the soil, Walker spoke, his voice carrying through the crisp night air. These trees, different in form but similar in spirit, represent what we aim to achieve. May they grow strong and intertwined, as our futures will now be. Staler, usually reserved in his expressions of hope, allowed a rare smile to touch his lips. Let the Unity Gardens remind us of our shared commitment every day, he added, his gaze sweeping over the gathered crowd, which included curious onlookers from both communities. As the gardens took shape over the following weeks, they became a focal point for cultural exchange. Human scientists and Zeltron botanists conducted joint workshops, open to all, explaining the significance of each plant and its role in the respective ecosystems. These workshops quickly turned into cultural showcases, where music and food from both worlds were shared, and stories from Earth mingled with ancient Zeltron legends. One evening, as the gardens buzzed with the laughter and chatter of a joint festival, Alara, the young Zeltron who had raised concerns during the negotiations, approached Captain Walker. I must admit, I was skeptical of the sincerity of your intentions, Captain. But seeing our children play together among these plants, learning from each other, it gives me hope. Walker, watching a group of human and Zeltron children chase glowing fireflies, nodded in agreement. It's their world we are building, Alara. They deserve a foundation as strong as these oaks and as healing as your silver shade trees. The Unity Gardens project, though small in scale, sparked other collaborative efforts. Joint research initiatives on sustainable energy, waste management, and even artistic collaborations began to take shape. Each project served not just a practical purpose but also wove a tighter web of mutual understanding and respect. However, the path was not without its bumps. Minor disagreements and misunderstandings occurred, but the memory of the standoff and the potential consequences of failure ensured that both sides approached these conflicts with a newfound commitment to dialogue. As the chapter drew to a close, the Unity Gardens were officially opened to the public during a ceremony attended by thousands from both races. The gardens, lush and vibrant with both Earth and Zeltron flora, stood as a testament to what could be achieved together. High Guardian Staler, addressing the jubilant crowd, summarized the sentiment that had grown along with the gardens. Here, in this small patch of our vast universe, we have sown the seeds of a future together. Let us tend to these gardens with the same care and hope with which we tend to our children's futures. The Unity Gardens, bathed in the light of Novatera's twin moons and the soft glow of its bioluminescent plants, were more than a project. They were a promise, a living, breathing symbol of intertwined destinies, nurtured by shared efforts and a joint vision for a peaceful coexistence. As Novatera welcomed another cycle of its twin suns, the light bathed the Unity Gardens in hues of amber and gold, casting long shadows and highlighting the delicate interplay of Earth and alien flora. Today, the gardens were more than just a symbol of coexistence. They were the venue for the signing of the Novatera Accords, a comprehensive set of agreements outlining the shared governance and mutual protection of the planet. The air was crisp, filled with the scents of blooming Zalian buds and earthy Terran moss, a fragrance that seemed to embody the spirit of the day. Delegates from both races, dressed in ceremonial robes that reflected their cultural heritage, gathered around the central pavilion, a structure designed by both human and Zeltran architects to represent their collaborative efforts. Captain James Walker and High Guardian Staler, who had become not just counterparts but companions in this journey, stood together at the podium. The crowd was silent, expectant, as media drones hovered, capturing every moment for history. Today, we stand at the dawn of a new era, Walker began, his voice resonant and clear. Not so long ago, the idea of this moment seemed like a distant dream. But here, in these gardens, we have nurtured not only plants but a partnership that promises a future bright with hope. Staler stepped forward, his gaze sweeping over the assembly. The Novatera Accords are not merely documents, but declarations of our commitment to each other. These agreements are the roots we plant today, for a tree that will shelter generations to come. One by one, the leaders signed the accords, each signature met with applause. The documents covered various aspects of human-Zeltran relations, from shared scientific ventures and cultural exchanges to defense agreements and economic collaborations. As the formalities concluded, the atmosphere shifted from solemn to celebratory. Music filled the air, a blend of human symphonies and Zeltran harmonics that seemed to dance around the natural chorus of Novatera's wildlife. Food stalls offered tastes of both worlds, spicy Terran dishes next to the subtle, complex flavors of Zeltran cuisine. The festival that followed was a vivid tableau of unity and joy. Children of both races played together among the flower beds, their laughter a melody that rose above the music. Artists painted collaborative murals, their canvases a riot of color and imagination that told the story of two peoples becoming one community. In the midst of the celebration, Walker and Staler took a quiet moment to walk through the gardens, observing the mingling of their people. It wasn't easy, was it? Walker mused, watching a young human girl showing a Zeltran boy how to make a Terran flower crown. No, it was not, Staler agreed, his eyes reflecting the light of the setting suns. But the most worthwhile paths are often the hardest. And this, he gestured around them, makes every difficult step worth it. As the day gave way to evening, the twin suns setting below the horizon in a spectacular display of light and shadow, the celebrations wound down. People began to drift away, leaving the gardens quieter, the air still filled with the echo of the day's joy. Walker and Staler remained, standing together in silence, looking out over the gardens that were now a testament to their shared vision. The gardens will grow, just as our relationship will, Staler said softly. May we always find the common ground, as we did here. Walker nodded, his thoughts turning towards the future, filled with challenges but also limitless possibilities. Together, we will tend this garden, he replied, and watch it flourish. As night fell, the Unity Gardens glimmered under the light of the moons and the gentle glow of bioluminescent plants, a beacon of peace and unity on Novatera. The leaders departed under the starlit sky, the chapter of their beginning complete, their hearts full of hope for what was to come.